Hey, it's Elliott Wilson from Rap Radar, and this is the truth. Today's guest is unquestionably a rap radio legend. After 2 decades at Hot 97, she shocked us all, quitting a longtime home and joining rival competitor Power 105.1. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Angie Tinez. I'm honored that Angie's coming by today to talk about the big decision, her reasons behind her making that change, and what does the future hold. We at the Haven rooftop at the Sanctuary Hotel, and we're gonna chop it up and get down to business. Welcome me, man, it's the truth. Yeah, man, Elliott Wilson, Rap Radar, it's the truth, baby. It's Angie Tinez, I can't believe it.
It's the truth, son.
Ange, what made you do this? You saw me at Yankee Stadium, you was like, fam, let's do this interview. Well, like, you asked the questions, what are you doing here?
I was feeling very talkative that day. So I was like, oh, Elliott, he'll know what to talk about. Nah, because I respect it, and I know you had already rapped. And I thought if I could get you to push the rap, that would make me feel really important and special.
Oh yeah, I thought I was gonna end with Snowman. I'm like, Angie Tinez is gonna close season out. But you're making big news. Is it weird that you're like...
Is it weird that I'm in the news?
Yeah, like you're the news person, like you're the artist again.
It's a moment, right?
Yeah.
We know better. It's like, cool, it's great, but it's a moment. I feel like, I feel grateful to be able to create those moments still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to like...
Well, you shook us all up. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, how did you pull this off? Because when I said to you that night, I think I said like, this is like LeBron going to Miami, but you did it with the class of LeBron going back to Cleveland. Like, it was very smooth the way it was done.
I learned from LeBron the first time. I thought maybe I shouldn't do a press conference.
Angie Tinez, the decision.
Yeah.
You didn't know, but you didn't let us in. I know you've always been very protective of your life in general, but you really were able to like keep all of this very secretive until you revealed everything to us.
Well, you have to, because legally there's so many components to it on their side and my side.
Yeah.
But also, I have so much respect for everybody that worked with all these years in that company and MS, and I didn't want any of that to go bad. I didn't want to treat anybody with disrespect. I wanted the right people to find out the right way at the right time. I didn't want anybody to hear about it in the streets. Yeah. So I needed to call the direct phone call from me to the proper people happen first before anybody in the street would start talking about anything. So that was important to me because, I've been there for so long. I didn't want to go out.
How do you leave a place you've been there so long?
I wanted to have the one-on-ones and the look, this is what's happening conversation.
So all of those happened behind the scenes before you went on air that day? Because you went on air and all of a sudden we were like, this is the last show, like what's going on?
Well,
like,
they started happening the night before.
Okay.
So the late night before I started making the calls, and I started with Flex.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, how did he take that? Because obviously you guys are like the pillars of that.
Honestly, people ask me like, how is it weird to like walk away from all these people that you've had these relationships with? And I never think about it like that because I feel like my relationships are so real and so strong and solid that I don't worry about. Like if I needed to call Flex when I left here for something tonight, if something's wrong with my car, he's going to come get my car. Yeah. He's going to come, you know what I mean? I feel like that our relationship is so real, but it changes the dynamic. I don't see him every day. It does. And he's super supportive. Yeah. Like really he got it, he understands. He was definitely, was sad as I was. We had a sad moment together where we realized, oh shit, it's not me and you, and it's not going to be me and you at work anymore. You guys are the
pillars of the whole thing.
Yeah, we had that moment, but then after that moment was over, it was like, you're going to be great. This is going to be good for you.
And it was clear that they wanted you to get your proper send-off. Like some personalities never get to say their goodbye show.
It's
like
real. Most radio people don't. And honestly, if I could be really, if we're on the truth. The truth is,
you need the truth,
man. The truth is, I didn't know. The truth is, I didn't know I was going to go in the next day and resign.
Can I say goodbye?
They were going to say, go home today. And most radio stations, you go in, they say goodbye, good night, because you can't be on the box while you're about to go work somewhere else.
Yeah.
But Flex was one of the people that was really adamant about you deserve a proper send-off. And that was the beginning of my heart like melting. Like first went from Flex and then like upper management accepting it so well and wishing me well. And I was like, ugh. And then the next day, the reaction from the staff was,
oh, so they all knew before you even went to take the 3 o'clock slot? Did they kind of already all know?
Well, it was about 2:30.
Okay, wow.
That the internal email went out. So right before I got on air, everybody internally had found out. And
but they knew you were leaving. No one, they didn't know you were going to Power yet.
Nobody
right?
knew I was leaving till that day. Right before I signed on at 3 to say goodbye. Nobody knew till like 2:30.
No, but they didn't know you were going to Power though. They could have been just resigning or whatever. No one knew for clear.
Not everybody, but few people did. Some people knew.
Yeah.
You know, some of the main
the big bosses.
The big bosses knew I wasn't going to do that to them. I didn't want. My job. I wasn't trying to be sneaky. I wasn't trying to trick anybody. I was just being very honest. Like I had this opportunity, and I really feel like at this point in my life, this is good for me, and this is what I want to do. And they got it. And so I was, I was up front, and they were like, okay, well, let's focus on goodbye now, and then we'll wish you luck and wish you well.
So what was that like going in, cracking the mic?
The truth is I made the decision from my brain, right? So I was emotionally not connected to it. It was like, what's the right thing to do? Okay, you can't be scared. You got to know that this is right. It's going to be right. You got to make the decision and just go. So I made that. But I wasn't emotionally like prepared to go in and people being really upset.
Because also you're dealing with people's emotions. You can't tell, can't really tell like artists or even fans that are calling in, they think that you're just maybe resigning. They don't know what you're gonna do next. So it's like,
it was like, people like, are you okay? Are you it's so I was like, I'm feeling fine. I'm just leaving. I'm just going to get another job. People do it every day in the world, by the way. Yeah.
So did it seem like a longer show than usual? Like, what was the whole process?
It was wild emotional.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't prepared for it. Yeah. I honestly thought I was going to be sent home.
You had your sunglasses, though. That's pretty much your preparation,
Those were
right?
some glasses that Taraji had bought me that day. She heard I was quitting and ran up to the station and gave them to me as a gift. So I put them on because my eyes were starting to swell up.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it was crazy. But I definitely got emotional all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been there since I'm 18 years old. Like I literally grew up in that building. Like I had relationships and heartbreaks and I had a baby and I saw death and I saw life and you know what I mean? Like I experienced all kinds of stuff in that building. Grew up there.
What made this the right time? I'm sure there was times when you probably heard offers before, things were discussed, but why was this now really the right time, do you feel?
I think for a long time I had blinders on because I was so emotionally attached to where I worked that I wasn't really interested in anything else. Just had blinders on. I mean, I like to do other projects and, I've stepped outside of radio and done other things, but
television stuff.
But in terms of like another radio, a company, I just wasn't ready. I can't even really answer what that question is, except knowing that at this point my contract was up, and I was just like, okay, well, what does the next 5 years of my life look like? What does the next 5 years of my career look like? And I had to ask myself like some real questions, like what I want to be doing, what I want it to look like. How do I want it to matter? And that's when I went out and found what was in the market and what was available. And they came to me with an offer I could not refuse.
Well, some people say like this, Miss Speculation, is it about money, is it about opportunity, or is it about both at the end of the day?
Well, I have a kid, I have a family, I have aspirations, so it's everything. It's being able to pay my mortgage, but it's also being able to have some growth. Really, it's that. It's really that. Because if it was just about money, I'd have asked Emmis for more money. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. It was more about what the company has to offer me. You know how many radio stations they have? You know how many markets they have? I mean, with iHeartRadio and the television opportunities that the company has. And beyond the opportunity for growth, which is the main thing, it's also just challenging myself to walk into a new building, to do it there, to do something new, to do something that people didn't expect me to do something that made me nervous. You know what I'm saying? Like
sort of reignite that fire.
To reignite, to challenge. Salam hit me. He was like, wow, you hit the restart button, fam. He said, you hit the motherfucking restart button. That's what he said. I love that. I thought that was dope.
And Jay said something about 15 years is just a blip. And
I love that too. The truth is that no matter what you've been doing in your life, you can do something ahead of you. You can have an amazing past 10 years, but as long as you're living and breathing and you have some fire in you.
So you need to get sparked again in a certain sense, you think,
absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Don't you, all the time?
Of course.
Yeah,
So is it about
and I feel it, boy. Like, I feel it. My energy is, like, I'm ready to, like, Forrest Gump and run up the block. Like, my energy is, like, on a trillion right now.
You got crazy. Every artist calling you. You got Remy Ma calling from jail. Like, what's
Wait You see what I have tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
I know, I can't
Why?
tell you
So
yet.
also I thought it was weird because you was like, I'm gonna come in Thursday. I'm like, why are you starting on a Thursday? But it seemed like you wanted to kind of get your lay of the land and then come in with a fresh week, right? Was that the mentality?
That was part of it, but also I had a vacation planned up until that Wednesday, and I didn't want to turn that away. So I wanted to take some real time and have a vacation.
Yeah.
And also I liked the idea of coming in Thursday, having like a free-for-all for 2 days, and then taking a couple of days off and reflecting and thinking about what I needed for the next week and that whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's
we're here.
crazy.
I know. It felt right.
Yeah.
I'm really going on what feels right. Like that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not a master at this process, but whatever feels right is what I'm doing.
Does the emotion go away more and more as you're doing it now, or is it still kind
the
of
emotion of what? Of the change?
Of the change. Yeah. Now that you're in
Yeah,
it.
it's gone. It's not gone, but my friendships are still there. You know, I
Yeah.
still speak to
That's what I'm
Info
saying.
all the time,
Yeah.
and I still, you know what I mean. I saw Laura Stiles at Hope's concert. We took pictures together.
Yeah.
Once I realized that my relationships would be intact, and I'm okay with
So
it.
do you think almost your move in some ways because it's always been a real, I mean, you saw it from the other side, very contentious relationship between Hot and Power, right?
Yeah.
Because you guys built the foundation, here they came, you know, even the beginning of it, you know, Nas going over there, he had a conflict with you or other people at the
Yeah.
station, like, so its history's embedded in how contentious it is. Do you think now this will kind of change a little bit?
I hope so.
You know, because of your presence?
I do hope so, because the truth is, even through all of that crazy shit, I never got involved in that. I
Yeah.
never really believed in that.
Yeah.
When Envy left, I was like, good for him. If he couldn't grow here and they offering him a morning show, like, then good for you, Envy. You got family, I get it.
Yeah.
I never was mad at him. I never was mad at Clue. I felt like I never had that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm competitive, so I always want
Yes.
to be great, and I want to try to do my best, and I want to try to win. But I never had that. Like, I really don't believe that we're in a gang, and we don't. You know what I'm saying? It's not that serious. We're all radio people ultimately at the end of the day, and this really reconfirmed that for me. When I walk in that building and Charlamagne is like, yo, Ange, when I'm thinking, oh, he must hate me. You know, like 3 months ago, I would have been like, oh, Charlamagne must hate me. He doesn't hate me. He's so happy up there. You know what I'm saying? I felt good. I was like, wow, that's dope. It's really great.
Nah, that's great.
I know. It's kind of nuts, right?
Do you feel, it's still a little nuts.
It's still a little nuts. I know. It's still a little nuts. I know.
But what do you think it means though? Like, is it, like you said, you obviously want to win your time slot and you want to be #1 in your place, but it's also a sign now that New York has changed and there is room for both stations in a sense? Or like, you know, because one base you may build the foundation for it, but like the culture's bigger now. Like, is there a place for both, or is it a thing where because Clear Channel has so much behind it, it's going to be hard for MS to compete with something like a Clear Channel?
Well, there's always been room for two. There's always been two. Since Powers signed on, there's been two.
Yeah.
So how you handle the fact that there's two is like, you could fight with the other person, or you could just rock and they rock, and that's it. And to me, that's it. There's always going to be room for two. And one's probably going to do better at some points.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping that I like, even like see little things like taking pictures with people from there.
Yeah.
Because it's real, it's love. Who cares? Like, yes, when I get on the box, I want to give the best radio show that is you could possibly hear at that moment in this city. But that doesn't mean when I see Syph, I'm like, don't look at me, son. Don't take no pictures with me. Don't talk to me. When I see Syph, I'm like,
I know your mama, son. I know your mama, son.
Right? Like, it's okay. It's like people. It's like basketball players.
Yeah.
They're not beefing when they get off the court. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. To me, it's the same thing.
So what's your approach with the show now, your power slot? Because now it's a little bit of a different time slot.
Yeah.
2 to 6. Like, what's going to make this show different than people that listen to your show many years ago? Like, what makes this, is your approaches any different how you're going to approach doing this 4-hour show?
It is.
At Power?
I do feel like it's a restart, so I feel like it's an opportunity for me to just like start from scratch and look at everything and feel things. Like, I don't even want to put too many features and stuff. I want the stuff to develop.
Yeah, you didn't even name your mix show.
I haven't even named my mix show. But what I do know is I want to alternate mixes, because I do like the idea of keeping it fresh and having new DJs. And there's so many dope, talented DJs across the country that come into New York, DJs for artists. So I love the idea of being able to have a place where then when they're in New York, there's a place on the radio that they could be showcased, as opposed to the same DJ every day. You know, I think for now I do love that idea, but no, I haven't named it yet, because I'm building I'm looking at it as building. I'm building something up again now, fresh, and I'm gonna not do exactly what I did at Hot, but I think at Power I am, like I said, I'm starting from scratch, and I'm paying attention to the callers. I'm talking to the listeners every day.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to fill out what they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, stay connected to the new generation
connected.
also.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I know, like you said, Wale sent you a nice note. Like, what is your relationship with some of the artists of the new generation? Like, who do you like out there, and like, who do you have a good rapport with of the new generation?
I definitely talk to Wale often and check on him. I spoke to Meek.
He needs to be checked on.
I know he needs to be checked. I said that to him the other day. I was like, "Are you acting?"
Wale needs to be checked.
But
he'll call you and start already talking to you. He doesn't even say hello.
But he will also
like,
call you when something like this happens and wish you well from a sincere, nice place and send you a nice email.
Yeah.
I also spoke to Meek the other day from
his situation.
Where he is briefly.
Yeah.
But like August, I really like a lot. We communicate, we stay in touch.
Yeah.
I kind of check on him from time to time because I think he has a lot of talent. But I also get worried about him too.
Yeah.
I get like that with people. I got that like that with Chris at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like, are you okay? Are you gonna be all right in this? And so, you know, I feel like that with August a little bit, and Rocky, I felt like that with also. So yeah, I have, you know. When it's real, I don't force a relationship. It's fine if you just want to come to the show and do the interview and be out. That's cool too.
You can bounce, man.
It's fine. But if you need me or if I can help you in any way, and that's fine too. And so sometimes that happens.
We'll talk a little bit more when we sit down about your past interviews and what people think. But it's like, obviously that's part of, you know, your history, that you've done these very historic, impactful to the culture interviews and stuff like that. Why do you think you've been able to become like this outlet for people and become this interviewer that like has had these great moments, and like how does that?
I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. I really don't. I mean, I love what I do. I work hard. I definitely try to maintain relationships. I try to be fair to people. Yeah. Not to say I'm gonna just, you know, if you got some shit going on, then clearly we both know it. So when you come and sit down with me, it has to be addressed. Yeah. But I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm not here to attack anybody. I'm not foul. I'm not a foul person. If you say something to me crazy off the air, I'm not gonna get on the air and say what you just said. Like, I think people trust me, and I think that has definitely helped in terms of, you know, I think that's, you know, there's a lot to say for that. I think when people feel like they can go sit down in a place and they feel comfortable, then that will help you get the interview the next time.
No. And I always tell people too, like, you have ups and downs with artists, obviously. Like, people realize, well, you're so-and-so's boy. Then,
you just remember, you just reminded me when Nas went up to Power and tried to bury me.
Oh, he tried to bury me.
That was crazy. I was like, yo, he was good like 2 weeks ago, Nas. What the fuck happened? And we're amazing, by the way, now. We're great. Yeah, of course. That
but even Puff, like Puff called in and gave you love, and they were saying you guys had differences about something, right?
Me and Puff had differences.
But nobody knew that.
No, because you know what I mean? I'm not going to get on the radio and shit on him or something. Yeah. It wasn't even that serious. It was just whatever. I didn't love the way he handled a couple of things. He didn't love how I handled a couple of things. And then that just, whatever. But after time passes, you're like, whatever, Puff. I know you for so long. Yeah. You've done so much. I came in front of you, like, and I think he feels the same way. And so we just kind of we never even had like a real talk about what happened. It was just kind of like, what the fuck ever. Yeah, who cares?
This time.
And we both, so we're gonna have this interview. I don't know if all that stuff will come up or we'll just move forward. I'm not sure, but
you haven't sat with him in a minute though, right? You were saying too.
No,
right?
I haven't done an interview with Puff in. Maybe when the Locks called asking for their publishing back was probably the last time he was on my show. That was probably the last time.
That was a big one.
That wasn't a good time for him.
The refrigerators and all that.
He didn't love that.
That wasn't a winning one.
But it turned out good for him in the end, right? It didn't. Clearly, it didn't stop his growth or shine or anything.
No doubt, he keeps going. But I want to sit down and we'll talk about some of those past memories that people think about, but also the future. I know you got other things going on besides this move, cookbooks. I want to talk about TV, everything else you got going on.
I love that.
All right. All right, we up on the roof. Ange, you say a funny story. What's the funny story?
We on the roof.
We on the roof.
Do you talk to the camera at all, or you just talk to your camera?
Right here, man. Hey, camera.
All right,
what's going on?
Hey,
camera.
I'm gonna tell you a funny story about this guy, right? So I know him for a long time. He's a super credible journalist.
Okay.
And people respect you, right?
Yes.
Clearly.
Yes, I hope so.
But there's also a couple times I've heard Elliott's a dick. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard that from people?
I've heard that, Ange. Yes, I've heard
and
that.
I never could understand why, because you've always been so nice to me. I never know why people would say that about you. I really don't.
I can be tough in business. I mean, I think we were peers in different ways. It wasn't like I ever needed to like get something from you in business. You know what I mean? Like your lane was your lane, my lane was my lane, so we probably didn't have to really butt heads.
We didn't have to do that. So I've never felt like that about you. And also,
but I was way meaner back then. I'm married now. I'm nice. We're nice and we're older.
You've never been mean to me. Not that I saw or heard of. Anyway.
No, but here's what I'll say about you though, and this is part of what I wanted to ask you. I think you do this great job, like you said, where it's like, okay, you're obviously this tough girl from Brooklyn, tough girl from New York, and it's like
both,
everything. Yeah, exactly. But like, people know the real Angie. Like Angie's tough. Angie curses. Angie's like, you know, she's like comfortable. She's not. She's real. She's real. As people always say about you, you're real. But at the end of the day, you still do things on a very high, classy level. Like it's a great balance of stuff like that. Like,
thanks, man.
People don't say like, you know, like that that you did something dirty. You were foul with someone, like you said. So to me, it's hard to find that balance of being like really hardcore and real with it, but don't cross that line and look like a class act. So you have like you're like the hard-edged class act.
Well, I also try to be, I don't know, I try to be my version of righteous and not, like, and be a person of my word and be a person of integrity. So if I tell you, don't worry, I'm not going to tell anybody. You'll think I'm not going to tell anybody that.
Yeah, you did say that you're a vault. You said that, like, you're a vault.
Yeah, I do that.
Like, secret keeper,
100%. But what I was going to say about you is when I always come to your defenses is that, number one, you've always been super supportive and you're super engaged in the culture. So when I do something like on the radio, he'll hit me like, yo, did he say, like, you're on it. Like, you're on everything. You
tape your interviews and rip them and
there was one time in my career, no, I got to say this story, and then I'll let you do the interview after that. Sorry, I'm taking over. This is the problem. I don't know how to be interviewed. The problem, Elliott, is I don't know how to be interviewed. Do you understand the problem we're having here? So
I love it though. It's my job easy.
But there was a time in my career where somebody was coming for me. Like, you say I'm fair and I'm nice and I try to do that, but these guys were being super like disrespectful and they were coming for me.
Oh,
and in the middle of that moment, I ran into you at a party, you and your wife.
Yep.
And you were like, that was not cool what they wrote, and I don't know. You just were very understanding and I was like, oh, he's a good guy.
Because I was catching it from them too, but I felt like it's like it's crossing the lines of journalism. Like there's things that happen. Like obviously, you know, we've had contentious situations. Like I said, you've had differences with some of the biggest rappers on the biggest stage and been part of their conflicts. And like inevitably, if you're part of this culture, you're gonna have beefs. But at the end of the day, if somebody crosses the line kind of so flagrant, I just kind of, to me, probably wanted to convey to you at that time that no one's falling for that okie doke. Like that's so clearly like that's their agenda.
But that showed me that you were a nice guy. That told me that this guy's a nice guy. He cared. Somebody's being foul to me. And this guy cared, and I thought. So I always hold that. So if somebody says Elliott's a dick, I say no, he's not. He was very nice to me when somebody was being very mean to me.
Very true, very true. Why do you think you've been able to survive? Like you said, you interned when you were 18. Like what was it about? I mean, obviously you get into this, right? You have ambition. Your mother was in radio somewhat. I mean, in big time radio, but she was an on-air personality, right?
No, she wasn't on air. She was a program director.
So you had a little taste of the business, but like you get into Hot 97 in the early days, you're interning there, like you start to realize that there was also this hip hop industry, right? Like, and how it works and how do you maneuver there? Like, how were you able to adapt to that? And is that where you kind of build your toughness up, I guess, in a certain aspect?
Yeah, I think I grew up in it, and I just learned to survive as if you grow up in a bad neighborhood or if you grow up somewhere, you learn to survive in your surroundings. And I think I was able to start early, and I think I had enough time to be groomed to the point where by the time I was like, by the time social media was like super strong and I was like rocking prime time, I had already been around enough to not be shaken by stuff or to hold my composure when things got a little crazy, or to know enough to not be suckered and treat somebody with disrespect because that's what the audience is like, yo, get him. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna still treat this person like a human being, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
because they're so thirsty for that now.
Yeah, everybody is, right? And also, if I could be really honest, I feel like a lot of the early part of my career, I was kind of like protected because I had people like Flex, that if somebody came for me, I had the luxury of like playing the high road and not addressing it because I knew Flex would go.
You got to get it out, right?
It's like having a big brother. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that, I always had him, which is,
But that's because you answered phone, like you came up, talk a little bit about that. Like you didn't even have your own show. You were just answering phones for his show, right?
Yeah, I was like running his boards. I knew how to run the boards. That was the first thing I learned how to do. And so I would run his boards, and if you could believe it, Flex at that time didn't really like cracking the mic. I know that sounds nuts.
Yeah.
But he didn't at the beginning.
He didn't have his persona.
He didn't have it all the way together. So he would talk to whoever was in the room. And so once I started running his boards, he would talk to me. And then And then, you know, from there I was like, this is great. Like, I love being on the radio. That really, it's something, it lit up something in me. And that's when I started making air checks, and then they let me start doing some overnights.
At first it was a night show, right? Because I remember when I was talking to you about...
Yeah, I did overnights first.
When I was talking to you about, you know, because everybody will talk about your famous Jay-Z interviews, but remember you told me the first time you talked to him was actually on your night show, which people didn't realize, right? Like that 100%, was your first, that was your first interview with him, right?
Yeah. I went from doing overnights, I was on midnight to 6 in the morning, and then they moved me, and it was like a big moment for me, because I had been running Flexus boards, I was doing overnights, I was going to like community college during the day. In the daytime, then after that I was going to the station. I was literally working 20 hours a day, sleeping for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they gave me the break, and I went to nights. Well, first I went to middays for a brief stint, then I went to nights. And I had the Battle of the Beats
Battle
feature,
of the Beats, yeah.
right.
Tell people about that didn't know that.
Well, Battle of the Beats was, we just, you know, it's not
together,
really complicated. It was like 2 songs. Which one's better?
Well, why do you think it took off so
Well, number
much?
one, I had Lauryn Hill doing the Battle of the Beats. That was fucking Lauryn Hill, produced by Salaam Remi, the promo for my Battle of the Beats feature. I mean,
pretty good.
Come on,
pretty
man.
good.
And I think at that time people were so engaged. New York hip hop was everything, so people were so engaged, and it was like so pressing. I remember one time I had LL against Cannabis, and Leor Cohen called me like, "This can't go bad for LL." And I was like, Leor, I can't tell you. It's up to the polls. Like, I'm not playing this game with you. Like, it has to. People cared for some reason. Like, they really cared about this feature. It became a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I had Jay. I put In My Lifetime in the battle, and it won like by far.
Yeah.
Later, Damon admitted that they had their whole staff calling 150 times.
Calling every 5 minutes.
Yeah, but that was the beginning of my relationship with Jay. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Because he won by so much. I knew he either had muscle, he had money, or he had this huge underground fan base that I didn't know of.
Yeah.
And so it caught my attention, like, who's this dude? And then like a week later, him and Dame showed up in this like custom buggy-eyed Benz that had like you remember the Rockefeller? They showed up and brought champagne, and I was like, okay. And we've been cool ever since.
Yeah.
You know, so that he was definitely part of that little early stage for me.
And remember, everybody knows obviously with the, you know, your historic interviews with him, and then even to the Nas battle. Like, so speaking of polls though, that was the whole thing when you guys decided that. Takeover Ether was out at the time, and Jay had made a response to Ether, Super Ugly.
Right.
And everything got shut down where it's like the record's gonna go to you, and Flex came on the air and you guys were debuting the record. Like, what are your memories of that? Like the whole, like really putting yourself in the middle of this conflict that was kind of taking the city by storm.
This was the greatness that was the yin and yang of me and Flex, right? Because that would have never happened if it was just me. But Flex being aggressive and put me in a position where I had to do that. Right, and so we did it, and we do the big announcement, and Nas had won.
Yeah.
And literally, as I'm announcing Nas won, you know, Jay-Z's walking. I could see him in the mirror, in the window, walking into the studio, and I'm announcing that Nas won. I was like, why does God do this to me? Why? But you know, he ate it. He apologized. That was the time, remember, he came up and his mother had called him and he apologized to Nas for the baby seat thing or whatever. It was like not his finest moment.
Yeah.
But I knew I was in the middle of something big.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the orchestrator of it. I didn't feel like I was, oh, I'm so hot because I just felt like a piece of this, a little piece of this history that was happening and unfolding, and I happened to be in the middle of it, you know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful that I was. And I feel like it's connected me to people because I was there.
Yeah.
And
that's an historic moment.
It was. And I was grateful that Jay didn't, you know, he was like, I get it. Trust me, we're good. Like, I get it. Because I was worried. I was like, you know, he was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. Yeah. He went away on vacation, came back, and we had Hobie's Home, which was like one of my favorite interviews ever.
Hobie's Home.
And that was like one of my favorite interviews.
That's one of your favorites?
Yeah.
Why was that one of your favorites?
Because I felt so bad about the position that he was in when he left, and I hated the tone of our interview.
Yeah.
And he came back and he was like refreshed, and it was Jay again. You know what I mean? I felt like he had conquered something, and he was comfortable, and we laughed. It was fun, and you know, that was definitely one of my favorites.
And then when Nas did Summer Jam, the next we talked about it a little bit, then he got mad and then he drew you under the bus as part of that thing.
I know, that was some bullshit.
Was that easy for you to? How did you personally repair that relationship?
I still every now and then bring it up to Nas just on some.
You was wrong for that.
You was wrong for that,
Nas.
You know you was wrong for that. But he said that to me. He's like, I read something you wrote in one of the articles where you talked about it. He was like, and you had said, and Nas said this to me. He was like, you said that I should have come to you first because we had a relationship. He goes, and I read that, and you know what? You were right. I should have came to you first.
Yeah.
But you know, whatever. He's a rapper. It was a moment. He spoke his mind, and that's how he felt, and he was right to feel however. You know what I mean? It's his story. That's part of his story.
People love that battle, that Jay Nas battle.
And it was so passionate about it. I always hated that. I gotta like either Nas or Jay. That's stupid. How about I like Jay and Nas? How about that? How about that's okay? That I like both of them.
Let's talk about one more crazy one you was involved with.
Yeah.
The pepper spray incident.
Yeah, that was amazing. I just talked about this story. Who was I talking to?
Everybody loved because it's pepper spray. It's historic.
Oh, OG Juan. I saw OG yesterday. We were just talking about this yesterday at a dinner. We had a birthday dinner.
Then Juan, did he know about it or he just wanted to bring it back up?
We were telling somebody else. I don't know how it came up. But anyway, I was saying the story that I was at the Garden when the concert happened, and then all of a sudden Jay's, R. Kelly's gone.
Yeah.
Jay and R. Kelly get into this beef. And so I'm leaving the concert like, wow, that was crazy. And I never forget, I went to the park, I went to the garage. So I leave the Garden. There's a line from the garage. So I get online. And, people are like, hey, what up? I'm like, hi. But I'm, okay. So I'm on the line waiting for my car from the garage, and I'm on the phone, and I'm like, yeah, that's crazy what happened at the show, right? I think R. Kelly, blah, 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 blah. And then Mary came out, and then Pecos was an usher, and he brought Usher down. And the call beeps, and it's Kai's. Michael Kaiser, Def Jam at the time.
Yep.
So he clicks in, and he's like, Ange. I was like, what? I was like, what's up? He was like, where you at? Jay wants you to meet him at the station right now. I'm like, okay. So I told the whole line, I was like, guys, I'm so sorry, but Jay-Z wants to come up to the radio. They were like, go, go, go. Everybody let me cut through the line to get my car.
This is like a Friday night.
It was a Friday night in New York on 34th. You know what the parking lot lines are like. Everybody let me go. I was like, I'm so sorry. They were like, no, no, go, go, go. So I went up, and then he showed up in the middle of the night, and it was probably Was he really angry? He was frustrated.
Yeah.
I think it was a combination. He was like frustrated, but then also he felt, I guess, like victorious that he was able to still
do
push
the show without him. Yeah.
Kill the show. By the way,
the whole Jay-Z
killed
and
the
Friends.
show.
Jay-Z and Friends. Yeah.
Killed the show.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think he felt like a champion, but also felt frustrated at the same time. Like, yo, this is what happened.
Yeah.
So it was like that. And then R. Kelly calls and comes right after.
Comes later, yeah. That's
so
what
I'm
people
sitting there
forget
with
that
Jay.
R. Kelly came there too.
I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy that happened. And then I get the call. R. Kelly is on his way. He wants to come up and be on the radio.
So you cleared Jay out the building first,
yes.
or whatever?
Yeah, he was like, I'm a bounce. I was like, all right, cool. Nah, he wasn't. We were done anyway.
Yeah.
And then R. Kelly showed up like 20 minutes later.
What was your impressions of R. Kelly that night?
I think he was frazzled and trying to like resolve something, and I think probably in his mind he had reasons for however he was behaving or whatever led to whatever, but I don't think he was able to really explain it well.
Yeah.
And so people were just like, whatever.
Yeah.
At that point, because Jay was so like articulate about how he felt about what happened.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is one of R. Kelly's people had a video camera that night. And to this day, I always hope that video shows up because I don't have any video of that interview.
Wow.
So I always,
you weren't doing video of those interviews back then, right?
It's somewhere in the world. No, I wasn't videoing.
Your interviews, none of those videos.
No, there's all audio.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Even Hovey's Home. No Hovey's Home video.
Hovey's Home is audio. And to this day, Jay don't like to do video. I'm like, fam, you gotta stop. You can't do that. You can't come up here and sit here with me and we don't do video and you're gonna go all over the country and do video. And he'd be like, all right. And I gotta keep it original, keep it audio. I'm like, fuck that.
It's radio.
Not in 2014.
It's radio, baby.
No way.
But wait, one more thing about Nas. One thing Nas dissed you about was your music career. And like, even now with your music career, like, why are you so negative about it? Like, why don't you like...
Embrace it?
Embrace it a little bit. Like, it's like whenever somebody talks about your past music career because you had some success or like want to play the records and everything, you're always shutting it down. Like, why?
Shut it down.
Why do you always shut it down?
Because it's the same thing as somebody would say to you. Remember in junior high school when you wore that blue polka dot suit? You'd be like, yo, fam, I'm right with the blue polka dot suit. It's like, it's part of the past. I think there was some decent moments. If I Could Go was a very cute song. I had a couple of songs that I felt like, oh, I kind of rocked that a little bit. But overall, I don't feel like I feel like it's a high school yearbook picture or a junior high school yearbook picture that people just like to open and remind me.
But
and
it was
show
more
me.
like a passment time, because I think it was even like KRS-One encouraged you to get on a record.
He
That's how it
did. We
even
did
started,
Heartbeat.
right?
That's how it started. Yeah.
Yeah. So that wasn't even trying to plan it out. It just was a thing that felt good at the moment.
Yeah, it just felt good at the moment, and I rocked. And you know, I got abused a little. I mean, if we're being all the way honest, I still to this day will get people that like, yo, cut number 7 or go motherfucker. I love that song, and it's always like, really, that you connected? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I'm always like flattered by that there was a connection somewhere in something that I did, but I think in the grand scope of my life and my career, that was like a blip.
Yeah.
And it was cool and it was fun, but I don't mistake it for anything but that. And so when
your calling was more this.
So when people try to, you know,
put you in the throwback mix.
Yeah, stop it. Stop it, fam.
But do you think it's also
stop
because?
It, 5.
But isn't it always the issue where it's like, I mean, obviously one of your big records was Ladies Night. You were with all the top female artists
cool.
at that time, like the Brad, Little Kim.
And for the record, I wrote my verse on that song.
Okay. I wouldn't say you didn't.
I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying.
No, but don't we always?
A lot of people would assume that I did not, for whatever reason, but I actually did.
Angie, you first on this guy, right? Angie on the mic, you set it up. I was telling
it was my
back
first
then,
song after KRS, so Uncalled me was like, yo, Lil' Kim's doing this song, we're gonna put you on it. I was like, all right, cool. So I literally wrote like 186 bars. I thought it was gonna be like mad long. So I had it all and I did it all, and then just picked those 8 and used that 8.
One thing about Ladies Night I thought was great is that, you know, back then I was telling people like, the MCs would always want to get last on the track. Like that was the big thing, like I'm gonna rhyme last. And like nobody wanted to rhyme first. But now you rhyme first on it, but like now because DJs do the quick mixes, the first verse wins. They get the most shine.
First wins.
Angie on the mic, set the tone.
Yo, my $13 publishing checks are crazy. Still to this day, 2014.
For that Ladies Night, right?
$13, $26, $7.
Nico's like, that's sandwich money.
Yo, we out here. Cash and checks.
Talk about that with your son. I mean, like you said, you lived that out with the public, and like you took your maternity leave, came back, and like you shared the experience of being a mother with your fans and the whole thing. Like, how have you balanced that, like your career in motherhood, and like why did you feel the need to share so much of it with the public?
Well, you can't hide it, right? I was a house, by the way, when I was pregnant, so it was like no hiding that. But it's so much of a part of who I am right now that you have to share it. Otherwise, if you keep that private, people don't even know who you are anymore. Because now it's everything that I am. That it starts there, and then everything else comes after
now, like
that.
he's his own person, like he's 11 or something.
He's his own person. He's got an opinion, and he likes music, and he wants to know what's up with this and who's your guest, and he wants to know all of that. Yeah.
What we doing? How we moving, Ma?
He's a sports fanatic. He got opinions, and so it was important. But I love that. I do love that people feel connected to that. I meet women all the time that are like, yo, I was pregnant at the same time as you. This is my kid. I connect with you on that level. You know, it forms a genuine connection with people. Or when they see my son, they're like, oh my God, this is the baby that we heard the baby shower on the radio. Like, you know what I mean? That's the realest thing you could ever share with anybody.
One thing I thought was, I saw some article you saying like, with even Jay Beyonce, you didn't want him to go to On the Run because some of the material like Drunk in Love, Partition, it's a little adult. So even, it's funny, like you would think, well, Angie's cool with Jay and she's gonna be there with her kid, but you decided he doesn't need to see that part of it.
No, he gets the clean version. He has to have the clean version.
He's not ready for Drunk in Love.
He ain't ready for Drunk in Love. Partition, the dirty version. Not at 24, not when he's 11. Maybe when he's like 14 or 13. Maybe 2 more years. But no, I mean, you try. There's so much out there. It's so hard. With the, I'm always looking at his search history on his computer.
You snooping on his thing?
100,000%, yes, I do. I want to know what you are looking at, my child. And I will put blocks on whatever I feel is inappropriate. 1,000%. You have to. There's too much out there, and these kids is 8, 9, 10, and they can see all types of shit. Like, I'm a mother. I'm really a mom now, Elliott.
For real, not real shit.
It's real shit.
So what are the future goals? Like, I'm sure you like trying to get, obviously the opportunity now with this show is that you're already in Miami, and it could open up to do other markets and do Clear Channel. Like, talk a little about that, like how important it is in radio to be syndicated, in terms of the situation.
You know what's so funny? I never wanted to in my whole career. Everybody's like, why don't you go syndicated? I'm like, I don't want to go syndicated. Like, I'm too New York, and I feel like I don't want my show to be watered down so I can cater to some, you know, small town somewhere or whatever. So I didn't want that, and I still don't. I still want to be able to, like, broadcast.
The voice of New York, wherever you broadcast at.
I still want to be able to broadcast in New York in the way that I do. But the beauty about what's happened with social media is that, I don't know, there's like some walls that have been broken down, man.
Yeah.
There's people all over the country that tell me I'm watching your interview with such and such, and they don't care that I'm broadcasting to New York. They just want the content. They just want somebody that's talking to them in a real way, and so it's changed my feelings a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And then Clear
So
Channel.
it sort of convinced you by seeing her.
It convinced me that I could be myself. I could talk to somebody in Houston, and
she sounds like she's from New York.
And I could sound like I'm from New York, but if I give you something that's real and honest, and hopefully we connect in some sort of real way, then that's okay. You know what I'm saying? I think some of the walls have come down with that, and I think Miami's a great start for me, because Miami is someplace I've lived before. I'm there all the time. Some of my best friends live there, so I frequent Miami very regularly. I know
very short flight.
I know the city. I know the blocks. I know the areas. I know the malls. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel very comfortable in Miami, and that's a great place for me to start.
Yeah.
And grow from there. But it's important. I just want to challenge myself, man. I want some shit to be hard, and figure out how to make it work. Like, that's everything, right?
Yeah. No, to keep challenging yourself.
Yeah.
Also, TV, like you said, you've done some stuff with television before. Like, how much is television in your plans? Like, I know, like, you did some stuff with BET and even American Idol, right? Like, you quit American Idol. What happened with that, man? You said,
that's an old
that.
story. That was a long time ago. I know. I probably my bank account hates me still for that.
Light work. You said American Idol. I'm good.
It wasn't for me. I would have been miserable, honestly.
Yeah. Even still, right?
I've been doing. Yeah, even still, I don't regret that at all. But like, I've been doing some stuff for Extra, which has been really cool.
Yeah, extra stuff. What is required of you, and what are you learning from the process?
I'm technically like a correspondent for them. So they call me when they need me, when they feel it's a story that's like fitting for me to cover. And it started with like a lot of urban stuff, but now they're like calling me for like De Niro and Michelle Pfeiffer movies and things like that, which is amazing. Yeah. And it's really taught me a different skill set. Yeah. You know, because I'm like you, I have the luxury of having an artist sit down with me for 2 hours or an hour in the studio, and it's my house, it's my terms. Yeah. But when you're on that red carpet, you're at a press junket.
You're fighting, right?
You fighting. Not only are you fighting, but you got to get to that. You got to get to something. You got to get to it quick.
Yeah.
And you know me, I don't want to be rude to anybody. So it's like finding that way of connecting with somebody quick.
Assertive in the right way.
Yeah. So it's like a new skill set. So it's a challenge. I'm all about, like, right now I'm all about a challenge. You know what I've been doing for the past 15 years. I got to a point where I could do it in my sleep.
Yeah.
And so Extra was like a challenge for me. Like, I don't know how to do this. This is weird, you know, and so that was great. That fed me a little bit. It gave me a little bit of fire. And now this new challenge is definitely giving me fire. But Extra's been great, and they're using me all the time. I'm doing.
They love the power move, I guess,
I'm supposed to do Oprah and Steven Spielberg.
Oprah and Steven Spielberg?
I mean, light work.
A little something?
Light work.
And
that's pretty great, right?
What's this cookbook?
Oh, I'm doing a healthy Latin eating cookbook because I like to eat Spanish food and I like to not gain 10 pounds a week. I don't know, this is a brain thing. This is a passion project that I had in my brain for like a few years, and I tried to do it on my own and hit some roads in the block, some challenges. And then I met Angelo Sosa, who's this amazing chef. He was on Top Chef. So we partnered, and we're gonna put the book out top of the year. Okay, yeah, cool. So I'm excited.
Any other secret future goals I don't know about that you're doing?
Well, I also invested in a restaurant with Angelo called Añejo that should be open probably in the next month or so.
Your heavy culinary stuff
in Tribeca. I'm gonna be a restauranteur in Tribeca.
Okay,
that's pretty exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, and then just learning the lay of the land at my new gig.
Yeah.
And then who knows? But TV, yes.
Yes. That's the area you need to crack.
I need to crack.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, right now I got a new gig. I just want to be able to learn this company and learn how to do this as best as possible. But of course, TV is something that yes.
But obviously, anybody that you do radio so well, and your history is right there. So, how do you view your legacy in terms of that? Like, because I know you've also, seen others in this business. Like,
What is Angie Martinez, the radio personality? What is that legacy in your mind?
I don't know, man, but I can't think about that too much. I have to just rock. Because I would have thought 3 months ago, it'd have been like, oh, she started Hot 97 or she did that at Hot 97. But now everything is new and exciting, and there's a whole new page that's about to start. And so I don't know. I'm still living it. I'm still doing it. And so I guess maybe in 10 years you should ask me that question, or 5. I don't know, 5 to 10. Okay. We'll still be here. Yo, we still here. 5 to 10. We rocking.
We'll still be here.
Cause who's on our tails, Elliott? I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Stop it.
What's special? Why do you think it is? Like, how do you maintain longevity? Like, what do you think it is for people like you or me, like, to want to be in this to still survive and drive? Like, what do you think it takes?
Well, I will say this. There's a lot of great...
Because people want to know that. Like, right, there's young people watching this going to be like,
yes.
How do I do this?
There's a lot of amazing young talent out there. There really is. But, and there's room for them, right? But ultimately, when you're seasoned and you've seen it and you have a perspective that's seasoned, you have something to offer that people can't, you can't just make that up. That takes time. Yeah. The grind that we've put in for the amount of years that we've put it in, people can't replicate that, and you can't take that away from us ever. Like, so we got that. What we do with it from here moving forward is what makes us or breaks us. You know what I'm saying? Keeping us alive. And I don't think me being here stops anybody else from coming in the game.
And we ain't passing no torches. We're building people. We're building people. Though.
Yeah.
We're not passing
listen,
torches,
if I see somebody who got talent, I get excited for them. I want to share the shit I know. I want to be able to be like, yo, that was amazing what you did, but why don't you try this? Or why don't you? I never feel threatened by anybody that's new and up and coming. I get excited. I relish in the ability to be able to help somebody be better. Mm-hmm. The fact that I'm even been in this game for so long and can do that is like a blessing. So if I can help somebody, a young up and comer on the way, then if they're dope, then I love that.
Well, congratulations, Ange.
Thanks, fam. You too.
I'm saying, keep doing it.
What else are we gonna do? Stop? For what? As long as I love it, I do it, right?
Exactly.
That's it.
Thank you, Ange.
Thank you.
Man, vamos, it's time to go. What'd you think of my conversation with Angie Martinez? Did she make the right move going to Power 105? Is she the voice in New York, no matter where she broadcasts from? Subscribe to youtube.com, Jay-Z's Life and Times. Hit us up on Twitter at Life and Times. Hit me up at Elliott Wilson and leave your comments. It's Elliott Wilson from Rap Radar, and that's the truth. Miami, but you did it with the class of LeBron going back to Cleveland. Like, it was very smooth the way it was done.
I learned from LeBron the first time. I thought maybe I shouldn't do a press conference.
Angie Martinez, the decision.
Yeah.
You didn't know, but you didn't let us in. I know you've always been very protective of your life in general, but you really were able to like keep all of this very secretive until you revealed everything to us.
Well, you have to, because legally there's so many components to it on their side and my side.
Yeah.
But also, I have so much respect for everybody that worked with all these years in that company and MS, and I didn't want any of that to go bad. I didn't want to treat anybody with disrespect. I wanted the right people to find out the right way at the right time. I didn't want anybody to hear about it in the streets. Yeah. So I needed to call the direct phone call from me to the proper people happen first before anybody in the street would start talking about anything. So that was important to me because, I've been there for so long. I didn't want to go out.
How do you leave a place you've been there so long?
I wanted to have the one-on-ones and the look, this is what's happening conversations.
So all of those happened behind the scenes before you went on air that day? Because you went on air and all of a sudden we were like, this is the last show. Like, what's going on?
Well, they started happening the night before.
Okay.
So the late night before, I started making the calls, and I started with Flex.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, how did he take that? Because obviously you guys are like the pillars of that.
Honestly, people ask me, how is it weird to walk away from all these people that you've had these relationships with? And I never think about it like that, because I feel like my relationships are so real and so strong and solid that I don't worry about. Like, if I needed to call Flex when I left here for something tonight, if something was wrong with my car, he's going to come get my car. Yeah. He's going to come, you know what I mean? I feel like that our relationship is so real, but, it changes the dynamic. I don't see him every day. It does. And He's super supportive.
Yeah.
Like really he got it, he understands. Well, let's focus on goodbye now, and then we'll wish you luck and wish you well.
What was that like going in, cracking the mic?
The truth is I made the decision from my brain, right? So I was emotionally not connected to it. It was like, what's the right thing to do? Okay, you can't be scared. You got to know that this is right. It's going to be right. You got to make the decision and just go. So I made that, but I wasn't emotionally like prepared to go in and people being really upset.
Because also you're dealing with people's emotions. You can't really tell like artists or even fans that are calling in. No. They think that you're just maybe resigning. They don't know what you're gonna do next. So it's like,
it was like, people like, are you okay? Are you sick? It's so I was like, oh, fam, I'm fine. I'm just leaving. I'm just going to get another job. People do it every day in the world, by the way. Yeah. So
did it seem like a longer show than usual? Like, what was the whole process?
It was wild emotional. Yeah. And so I wasn't prepared for it. Yeah. I honestly thought I was going to be sent home.
You had your sunglasses, though. That's pretty much your preparation,
right? Those were
right?
some glasses that Taraji had bought me that day. She heard I was quitting and ran up to the station and gave them to me as a gift. So I put them on because my eyes were starting to swell up.
Yeah.
Whatever. So it was crazy. But yeah, I definitely got emotional all day. Yeah. I mean, I've been there since I'm 18 years old. Like I literally grew up in that building. Like I had relationships and heartbreaks and I had a baby and I saw death and I saw life and you know what I mean? Like I experienced all kinds of stuff in that building. Grew up there.
What made this the right time? I'm sure there was times when you probably heard offers before, things were discussed, but why was this now really the right time, do you feel?
I think for a long time I had blinders on because I was so emotionally attached to where I worked that I wasn't really interested in anything else. You know, just had blinders on. I mean, I like to do other projects, and he was definitely was sad as I was. We had a sad moment together where we realized, oh shit, it's not me and you, and it's not gonna be me and you at work anymore.
You guys are the pillars of the whole thing.
Yeah, we had that moment, but then after that moment was over, it was like, you know, you're gonna be great. You know, this is gonna be good for you.
And it was clear that they wanted you to get your proper send off. Like some personalities never get to say their goodbye show.
It's
like
real. Most radio people don't. And honestly, if I could be really, if we're on the truth, the truth is,
we need the truth,
man. The truth is, I didn't know. The truth is, I didn't know I was gonna go in the next day and resign.
Can I say goodbye?
They were gonna say, go home today. And most radio stations, you go in, they say goodbye, good night, because you can't be on the box while you're about to go work somewhere else. Yeah. But Flex was one of the people that was really adamant about you deserve a proper send off. And that was the beginning of my heart like melting. Like first went from Flex, and then like upper management accepting it so well and wishing me well, and I was like, ugh. And then the next day, the reaction from the staff was.
Oh, so they all knew before you even went to take the 3 o'clock slot? Did they kind of already all know?
Well, it was about 2:30.
Okay, wow.
That the internal email went out. So right before I got on air, everybody internally had found out. And
but they knew you were leaving. They didn't know you were going to Power yet.
Nobody knew I was leaving till that day. Right before I signed on at 3 to say goodbye. Nobody knew till like 2:30.
No, but they didn't know you were going to Power though. They could have been just resigning or whatever. No one knew for clear.
Not everybody, but few people did. Some people knew. Yeah. You know, some of the big bosses. The big bosses knew I wasn't going to do that to them. I didn't want. My job. I wasn't trying to be sneaky. I wasn't trying to trick anybody. I was just being very honest. Like I have this opportunity, and I really feel like at this point in my life, this is good for me, and this is what I want to do. And they got it, and so I was up front, and they were like, okay.
Hey, it's Elliott Wilson from Rap Radar, and this is the truth. Today's guest is unquestionably a rap radio legend. After 2 decades at Hot 97, she shocked us all, quitting her longtime home and joining rival competitor Power 105.1. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Angie Tinez. I'm honored that Angie's coming by today to talk about the big decision, her reasons behind her making that change, and what does the future hold. We at the Haven rooftop at the Sanctuary Hotel, and we're gonna chop it up and get down to business. Welcome me, man, it's the truth. Yeah, man, Elliott Wilson, Rap Radar, it's the truth, baby. It's Angie Tinez, I can't believe it.
It's the truth, son.
Ange, what made you do this? You saw me in Yankee Stadium, you was like, fam, let's do this interview. Well, like you asked the questions, what are you doing here?
I was feeling very talkative that day. So I was like, oh, Elliott, he'll know what to talk about. Because I respect it, and I know you had already rapped. And I thought if I could get you to push the rap, that would make me feel really important and special.
Oh yeah, I thought I was gonna end with Snowman. I'm like, Angie Tinez gonna close season
Jeezy.
out. But you're making big news. Is it weird that you're like?
Is it weird that I'm in the news?
Yeah, like you're the news person. Like you're the artist again.
It's a moment, right?
Yeah.
We know better. It's like cool. It's great, but it's a moment. I feel like I feel grateful to be able to create those moments still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to like.
Well, you shook us all up. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, how did you pull this off? Because when I said to you that night, I think I said like, this is like LeBron going to.
You know, I've stepped outside of radio and done other things, but
television stuff.
But in terms of like another radio, a company, I just wasn't ready. I can't even really answer what that question is, except knowing that at this point my contract was up, and I was just like, okay, well, what does the next 5 years of my life look like? What does the next 5 years of my career look like? And I had to ask myself like some real questions, like what I want to be doing, what I want it to look like. How do I want it to matter? Mm-hmm. And that's when I went out and found what was in the market and what was available. And they came to me with an offer I could not refuse.
That's what people say, like, there's been speculation. Is it about money? Is it about opportunity? Or is it about both at the end of the day?
Well, I have a kid. I have a family. I have aspirations. So it's everything. It's being able to pay my mortgage, but it's also being able to have some growth. Really, it's that. It's really that. Because if it was just about money, I'd have asked Emmis for more money. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. It was more about what the company has to offer me. You know how many radio stations they have? You know how many markets they have? I mean, with iHeartRadio and the television opportunities that the company has. And beyond the opportunity for growth, which is the main thing, it's also just challenging myself to walk into a new building, to do it there, to do something new, to do something that people didn't expect me to do something that made me nervous. You know what I'm saying? Like
sort of reignite that fire.
To reignite, to challenge. You know, Salam hit me. He was like, wow, you hit the restart button, fam. He said, you hit the motherfucking restart button. That's what he said. I love that. I thought that was dope.
And Jay said something about 15 years is just a blip. And
I love that too. The truth is that no matter what you've been doing in your life, you know, you can